The Carolina Hurricanes recently saw their winning streak come to an end, but they are locked into the second spot in the Metro. Zach Martin of Locked On Hurricanes is here to discuss that and what's important for this team heading down the stretch next on today's Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Carolina Hurricanes, Zach Martin. And Zach, I got you here on the show after the winning streak ended, but let's face it, one or two games notwithstanding, the Carolina Hurricanes have been playing some pretty good hockey as of late.
Yes, definitely, and thank you as always for the invite, Gil. Yeah, what a time to ask me on right after we get smoked 7-2 by the Kings. But yeah, I mean, other than that, if you really look at it, I think there was a stat going on in the game last night during their winning streak. They were out shooting their opponents like 27-13 or something like that. So the Hurricanes have been basically shooting the lights out for the last, I don't know, eight games or so. So yeah, outside of those random games, like we all know streaks can't last forever, but it is what it is. I mean, of course, guys are hurt. Illness is going back to the locker room again. But all in all, for where they're at and the fact that they're locked in for second place, which is great. Now it's, hey, we're second in the Metro. Let's go get second seed in the entire East. So, let's lock up home ice advantage as much as we can. And that's kind of, I think the goal right now is just getting that second East seed at this point.
Talk to me about some of the injuries the team is dealing with and how likely are they to actually affect the playoffs?
Well, Andrei Svechnikov has been out for a few games now after playing the Winnipeg Jets, and all we know is upper body. Of course, you know how it goes in the NHL. They'll give you a general idea, but you won't really know for sure. And so we're still waiting for him to come back. Unfortunately, Jordan Staal got an upper body injury against the Sharks, but no one knows exactly what that extended. So he's out right now. Illness is going back to the locker room once again. Shane Gostisbehere missed yesterday because of being sick. Hopefully not everyone else is too. And Seth Jarvis took a nasty fall yesterday from Warren Fogle. Bounced his head off the end board. So hopefully that's not too bad, but we haven't really heard of a status update yet as they play it, Sunday night. So it's just one of those things where a lot of things coming up at the wrong time, especially at the end of a winning streak. But hopefully it's not too detrimental. You got some call-ups and some extra guys as well. Scott Morrow had to fill in for Gostisbehere. Yaska had to come in for Jordan Staal. And, if Seth Jarvis is out, who's next? So, yeah, right now it's not a good time to have injuries or random illness towards the back end of the season when you got like 14 regular season games left before you're into the playoffs.
The Hurricanes organization has been criticized for the way they handled the Mikko Rantanen situation. Talk to me about what, if any, impact it had on the team after they had to trade him away.
Well, I mean, if you look at the impact now, I think, you won 3 games with Rantanen, but he wasn't really much of the massive impact in the first 3 games. And you immediately saw right after they rip off another 5. Mark Jankowski started going Wayne Gretzky Super Saiyan mode with scoring 4 goals on 4 shots in 4 games. You're like, all right, cool, this works out. Then you got Logan Stakeoven scoring goals now. And then, Taylor Hall still contributing and stuff like that too. So, while you lose out on Mikko Rantanen, you still have 3 guys that you brought in who are completely bought into the system. And now you see the team is outside of their power play, which is still massively struggling. I mean, the team was scoring 4 goals at a clip, beating the Jets, who are fighting for the President's Trophy, to beat Tampa Bay, who's, resurged once again. And then, you're still taking care of business against other teams as well. It's just, unfortunately, you face the buzzsaw that is the LA Kings right now, who are on an absolute run of their own. I mean, overall, even without giving up Mikko Rantanen, the team is still playing like that. The cloud or the just all the outside locker room stuff is finally doesn't have to affect them anymore. Now they can just focus on hockey, which I think is what all that uncertainty, and of course all the media was just going nuts over what they were going to do about it. I think it's kind of brought some relief to them. It's like, all right, we got our guys. There's no more changes to the roster outside of illnesses and injuries, but they know this is the group they're rolling with. So I think they got that. Okay, we know what's going to happen now. We got the team. Let's just go focus on the games.
What are the keys for this team? You mentioned there's about a dozen games, give or take, heading down the stretch. What are you looking to see from this team in those last 12 games? Because barring a very, very strong finish or a very, very bad finish, you're in second place in the Metro. So how does this team mentally prepare, and what are their goals in that last 12 to 14 games?
I think for the last 12 to 14 games, I think your goal is just to go in to play 60 minutes of hockey. Man, it's so cliche for us to say, but that's just kind of where you're at right now. Where, in this modern NHL, anyone can beat anyone. I mean, obviously we can see that. I mean, even the Sharks have beaten 18 opponents. So that really tells you something. But it's, playing your full game, getting yourself ready, because like, okay, the regular season is going to be coming up soon towards the end. But now you got the real season coming up, which is the playoffs, which, Gil, it is a totally different animal. And I think right now the goal is to figure out your power play. I mean, they are in a free fall since mid-December, early January. I think there's only like one team that's worse, and I forget who it was. I think it's the Ducks or someone who are like 0% in 2025. And I don't know if it's them in particular, but I know there's some team out there. I saw a stat earlier today. I completely forgot who it was, but they're running like a 0% power play since January. So it's not the worst, but when you were a top 10 power play team, now you're like 26th, 27th, and you're still not scoring. This is where you kind of need to figure out, okay, how are we going to get this back rolling? Because if you go into the playoffs and your power play is not good, chances are you're gonna have a hard time, because while penalties aren't plentiful for the power plays, it's still gonna be detrimental in a lot of close games when you're talking 2-1, 3-2 type of games. So that's definitely something to get figured out. And now they were at 500 on the road before their loss last night. But if you can get yourself above 500 on the road, that's going to be huge too, because we all know that, hey, if you want to win playoff games, you got to win on the road. So I think that's the two goals right now. It's get your power play to be somewhat, usable, and get your road record back going. So that way, when you go into the playoffs, you have to you have to get wins on the road. So that's kind of what they need to focus on.
How do you anticipate the team to handle the goaltending situation come playoff time?
Well, usually I know with the Canes, they've always gone with, who's the hot goalie. Last year was Frederik Andersen, even though, Pyotr Kochetkov played majority of the games last year. And, they even did, they swapped the goalies every other game, which they're kind of doing the same thing right now. But Pyotr Kochetkov just set a, career high in wins. He is up to 25 now. Last year he set it at 23. And, could they go back to Anderson? I don't know. I think they should go with Pyotr Kochetkov because he's been playing really great this year. I think so, outside of the Kings game, which was just all fluky type goals, but he should be someone that's in there. I would say even if you want to swap the goalies, if you really need to that much, but I just don't see a reason why they would go with Freddie as the main guy in the playoffs once again, when Kochetkov for the second season in a row has done all the yeoman's work and gotten the team there. But it's the Canes. Who really knows? It's gonna. We'll know game one of the first round. Whoever they're playing, we'll kind of get an idea of what the tactics are. But yeah, you would think you would go with a tandem swapping of the goalies, but we all know it's the tried and true. Who's hot? Let's roll with them at that point. So it remains to be seen what the plan is.
You touched on the power play earlier. I mean, with all the talent on this team, what's missing? Why aren't they clicking on the power play? What do you see out there?
It's zone entries. Zone entries are absolutely killing them right now. And yes, we did have a guy in Martin who was good at that, but also at the same time, he's also prone to also giving up the puck and doing a little too much. And I think right now they try to go with Sebastian Aho. He's not really the greatest of entry guys. And I think what their issue is right now is trying to get their entries going and keeping the puck, because if they can't enter, they try to dump. But the problem is if you're trying to dump and chase on a power play, you're just giving the PK&Es the opportunity just to get the puck out of the zone. So it's the zone entries and setting up. It's kind of is what their Achilles heel is, because then they can't set up to move the puck around. Of course, when they do, then you're starting to turn to playing a lot of perimeter hockey. So it's zone entries and honestly getting guys in the front of the net. I think teams, as you know, Gil, you need a Stefan Nason. You need a guy who's going to crash right in front of the net and take care of business. I mean, even the Islanders. I mean, I know you guys have been struggling too, but we all know what it is. It's who is your net front presence guy? Who's your bumper guy? That's kind of the thing that the Hurricanes are really going to focus on, is figuring out getting buys in front of the net and then figuring out zone entries.
All right, Zach, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, of course. It's LO_Hurricanes on X. You can find Locked On Hurricanes on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For me, I'm at OneTrueZach on X. I got Linktree in my bio to where you can find all the podcast stuff and even articles that I write around for anything hockey related. So yeah.
All right, Zach, thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate it, Gil, as always. Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com.